Welcome, friend, to Dream Bites, a podcast where the magic of storytelling meets the power of imagination. Each episode is a warm invitation to explore a world unlike any other, carefully crafted to transport you to new realms of wonder. So, find a cozy spot, settle in, and let the friendly voice of our narrator be your guide on this exciting adventure. And now, dear listener, it's time to embark on today's delightful story.
The Disappearing Diner. Chapter 1. Shadows in the Sunnyside. The Sunnyside Diner stood as a beacon of nostalgia in the heart of Miller's Creek, its neon sign casting a warm, ruby-red glow over the quiet street. The muted purr of a classic Cadillac echoed as it cruised past, its chrome accents glinting beneath the morning sun. Sam Jennings pushed open the door, the familiar jingle of the bell above announcing his arrival. The rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sizzle of bacon on the griddle, enveloping him like a comforting embrace. "Well, look what the cat dragged in," Mr. Clarkson called out from behind the counter, his salt and pepper hair peeking out from beneath a crisp white paper hat. "What'll it be today, Sam, my boy?" Sam grinned, sliding into his usual red vinyl booth, the leather cool against his skin. "Lay it on me, Mr. C, I'm starved." As the diner owner busied himself with the order, Sam pulled out his trusty notebook and pen, jotting down observations about the other regulars. Old Mrs. Hanson sat hunched over a steaming cup of Earl Grey, lost in thought as the tea leaves swirled in her chipped china mug. The Thompson twins, Daisy and Duke, bickered over the last piece of rye toast, their words punctuated by the clink of cutlery against ceramic plates. It was a scene straight out of a Norman Rockwell painting, a slice of quintessential Americana. Yet something felt off today, like a discordant note in an otherwise perfect melody. Sam's keen eyes darted to the empty stool at the counter, usually occupied by Joe Mayfield, a fixture at the Sunnyside for as long as Sam could remember. The worn leather seat seemed to sag, as if mourning the absence of its longtime companion. A niggling sense of unease crept up Sam's spine, his intuition whispering that Joe's disappearance was more than a mere coincidence. "Order up, kiddo," Mr. Clarkson said, setting down a plate piled high with fluffy scrambled eggs, thick-cut bacon, and crisp golden hash browns. "Say, you haven't seen old Joe around lately, have you?" Sam shook his head, his brow furrowing. "No, sir. It's strange not seeing him perched on that stool, nursing his black coffee and trading stories." Mr. Clarkson's jovial demeanor wavered, a flicker of concern dancing in his eyes. "I'm sure he'll turn up soon, probably just off on one of his fishing trips. You know how folks are in this town, always got a secret or two up their sleeves." But as Sam tucked into his hearty breakfast, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Joe's absence than met the eye. The Sunnyside Diner was the heart and soul of Miller's Creek, a place where gossip flowed as freely as the coffee. If anyone had the scoop on Joe's whereabouts, they'd be within these very walls. As he polished off the last morsel and bid Mr. Clarkson farewell, Sam stepped out into the bright morning light, squinting against the glare. With a determined stride, he set off down Main Street, his mind already whirring with possibilities. Sam had always possessed an uncanny knack for solving puzzles and unearthing the truth. And this mystery, with its tantalizing clues and dark undercurrents, was too intriguing to resist. Little did he know, as he ventured forth into the deceptively tranquil streets of Miller's Creek, that the disappearance of Joe Mayfield was merely the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the idyllic facade of his beloved hometown lurked secrets far more sinister than he could possibly imagine. Chapter 2. Whispers and Clues. The sun had barely crested the horizon when Sam arrived at the sheriff's department, his notebook clutched tightly in his hand. The disappearance of Joe Mayfield gnawed at his thoughts, a persistent itch he couldn't scratch. As he approached the front desk, Deputy Sarah looked up from her paperwork, her hazel eyes widening in surprise. "Sam, what brings you here so early?" she asked, her brow furrowing with concern. Sam leaned forward, lowering his voice. "It's about Joe Mayfield. He's been missing for days and no one seems to know where he is. I've been gathering clues, and I think there's more to this than meets the eye." Sarah's expression turned serious, and she motioned for Sam to follow her into a small conference room. "I've been hearing whispers about that too," she confided, closing the door behind them. "But it's not just Joe. There have been other irregularities over the years, all seemingly connected to the Sunnyside Diner." Sam's heart raced as he flipped open his notebook, the pages filled with scribbled observations and theories. "I've noticed some odd patterns," he said, spreading out the papers on the table. "Mysterious absences, cryptic messages left behind. It's like there's a hidden undercurrent in this town just waiting to be uncovered." Together, they pored over Sam's notes, cross-referencing them with old police reports Sarah pulled from the archives. The pieces began to fall into place, revealing a disturbing tapestry of secrets and lies that stretched back decades. "Look at this," Sarah said, pointing to a faded missing persons report from the 1960s. "This woman, Margaret Holloway, was last seen at the Sunnyside Diner before she vanished without a trace. And here, another one from the 70s. Same story." Sam's mind raced, trying to connect the dots. It's like the diner is at the center of it all, a nexus for these disappearances. But why? What's the connection? As the morning wore on, their investigation led them to the basement of the Sunnyside, where a peculiar locked door had always piqued Sam's curiosity. With Sarah's help, they managed to pry it open, revealing a dark, narrow passageway that seemed to snake beneath the town itself. "I've got a bad feeling about this," Sarah murmured, her hand instinctively resting on her holster. But before they could venture further, a shadow fell across the doorway. Sam's heart sank as he recognized the familiar silhouette of Mr. Clarkson, his usual warmth replaced by an unsettling intensity. "I think it's best if you two come back upstairs," he said, his voice low and measured. "Some paths are better left untrodden, if you catch my drift." Sam and Sarah exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. They had stumbled upon something far deeper and more dangerous than they had anticipated. But as they reluctantly followed Mr. Clarkson back to the surface, Sam's resolve only grew stronger. The mystery of Miller's Creek was beginning to unravel, one haunting thread at a time. And Sam knew, with a bone-deep certainty, that he wouldn't rest until he had unraveled it all, no matter the consequences. The truth, however dark and twisted, demanded to be brought to light. Chapter 3. Descent into Darkness. Sam's heart pounded as he and Sarah descended the narrow, winding staircase beneath the Sunnyside Diner. The musty air grew thick with tension, and the flickering beams of their flashlights danced across damp stone walls, casting eerie shadows that seemed to writhe with a life of their own. As they delved deeper into the subterranean passages, an oppressive stillness enveloped them, broken only by the echoes of their cautious footsteps and the distant drip of water. "Stay close," Sarah whispered, her hand resting on the hilt of her service weapon, "and keep your eyes peeled for any clues about this secret society." Sam nodded, his grip tightening on his notebook, now filled with hastily scrawled observations about the hidden entrance they had discovered. Each step forward felt like a plunge into the unknown, a descent into a darkness that had long been concealed beneath the cheerful veneer of the diner above. As they navigated the twisting corridors, Sam's mind raced with questions. What ancient beliefs could drive a group to hide in the bowels of the earth? How deep did this conspiracy run? The very walls seemed to whisper of secrets long buried and rituals best left forgotten. The passage eventually opened into a vast, dimly lit chamber that reeked of decay and stale incense. Dozens of candles flickered in recessed alcoves, their wavering light revealing walls lined with grotesque symbols etched into the stone and the remnants of ancient bones. In the center of the room stood an altar, its surface stained with the rust-colored remnants of what Sam feared were not animal sacrifices. "By the shadows," Sarah breathed, her eyes wide with horror. "What is this place?" Sam shook his head, bile rising in his throat. "Nothing good, that's for sure." He forced himself to approach the altar, scanning for any hint of the missing patrons. Instead, he found a faded tome bound in cracked leather, its pages brittle with age. "There's something here about a higher purpose, about the Sunnyside Diner being a gateway to—" The sound of footsteps echoed from the shadows. Sam and Sarah whirled around, their hearts racing as a figure emerged from the darkness. "I warned you to leave well enough alone," Mr. Clarkson said, his once friendly features contorted into a mask of cold determination. "But you just couldn't let it go, could you?" Sam's mind reeled as he took in the sight of the diner owner, his image of the genial proprietor shattered by the revelation of his involvement. "Why are you doing this, Mr. Clarkson? What happened to Joe and the others?" A chilling smile played across Clarkson's lips. "They serve a higher purpose now, just as this town always has. The diner sits upon a nexus of ancient power. This chamber is but the heart of something far greater, a legacy passed down through generations." Sarah drew her weapon, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "Enough of this! Where are the missing people?" Clarkson's eyes glittered with a fervor that bordered on madness. "You are too late to stop what has already begun. The ritual nears completion." He took a step forward, his hand reaching into the folds of his jacket. "A pity you won't be here to witness the glorious rebirth of our society." In that moment, the true depths of the society's depraved beliefs and the imminent danger to their own lives became horrifyingly clear. Sam and Sarah realized that the mystery they had stumbled into reached far beyond the boundaries of Miller's Creek, rooted in an unfathomable occult power. They steeled themselves for the desperate confrontation to come, knowing that the fates of the innocent, and perhaps the world itself, hung in the balance. Here, in this unholy chamber, the descent into darkness had reached its nadir. Only courage, wit, and the indomitable spirit of justice could guide them back to the light. Chapter 4. Unraveling the Web. Sam and Sarah raced through the labyrinthine tunnels, the echoes of their footsteps mingling with the frantic pounding of their hearts. The weight of their discovery pressed upon them, a suffocating realization that the missing patrons were being held captive in the depths of this subterranean lair. "We have to find them!" Sam panted, his voice strained with desperation. "Every second counts!" Sarah nodded, her jaw clenched with determination. "And we need evidence. Without proof, no one will believe us about Clarkson and the secret society." As they navigated the twisting passageways, Sam's mind churned with possibilities, his detective's instincts working to unravel the sinister tapestry of the society's machinations. The tunnels branched off in different directions, each path a gamble with uncertain odds. A faint light flickered from a crack in the wall, drawing their attention. Sam and Sarah approached cautiously, breath held in tense anticipation. What they saw through the gap chilled them to the bone. Dozens of townspeople, their faces gaunt and haunted, huddled in cramped cages. Among them, Joe Mayfield, his once vibrant eyes dulled by hopelessness. The air hung thick with the stench of despair and the cloying scent of incense, a nauseating cocktail that twisted Sam's gut. "We can't do this alone," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. "We need backup." Sam's mind raced, a plan forming amidst the chaos. "The sheriff! If we can get a message to him, he could bring reinforcements." But as they turned to retrace their steps, a figure emerged from the shadows, blocking their path. Mr. Clarkson, his once friendly features contorted into a mask of cold determination. "Leaving so soon?" he asked, his tone laced with menace. "I'm afraid I can't allow that. You see, these people serve a greater purpose, one that has sustained Miller's Creek for generations." Sam's heart pounded as the pieces fell into place. The diner's unshakable hold on the town, the secret society's twisted beliefs. "You're insane!" he spat, anger superseding his fear. "We won't let you get away with this." Clarkson's laughter echoed through the chamber, a chilling sound devoid of humanity. "Foolish boy, you have no idea the forces you're meddling with. The roots of this society run deeper than you can possibly imagine." As Clarkson advanced, flanked by hooded figures emerging from the tunnels, Sam and Sarah stood their ground. They fought with a ferocity born of desperation, fueled by the knowledge that they were the captive's only hope. In a daring gambit, Sarah managed to break away, racing through the tunnels to seek help. Sam held the line, his quick wit and resourcefulness keeping Clarkson's minions at bay. Just as Sam's strength began to falter, the sound of footsteps thundered from the passageways. The sheriff and his deputies surged into the chamber, Sarah at their side. The tide turned, and the society's members fell one by one, their twisted loyalty no match for the forces of justice. As the dust settled and the captives were freed, Sam felt a wave of exhaustion wash over him, tempered by a profound sense of purpose. The truth had been dragged into the light, the darkness exposed. But even as the missing patrons were reunited with their families and the society's members led away in handcuffs, Sam knew that the scars left by their ordeal would linger long after the headlines faded. For in the depths of those tunnels, he had glimpsed the true face of evil, and it was a face that would haunt him for years to come. The mystery of Miller's Creek had been solved, but the fight for the town's soul was far from over. Chapter 5. A New Chapter. The morning sun cast a gentle glow over Miller's Creek, its warmth a stark contrast to the chill that had gripped the town for so long. Sam sat in his usual booth at the Sunnyside Diner, his hands wrapped around a steaming mug of coffee as he gazed out at the street beyond. In the weeks since the secret society's downfall, the town had begun to heal, though the scars ran deep. The missing patrons, freed from their subterranean prison, were slowly piecing their lives back together, their haunted eyes telling stories of unimaginable horrors. Families once torn apart now clung to each other, finding solace in their shared trauma and the knowledge that the truth had finally come to light. The diner itself had undergone a transformation, its once oppressive atmosphere now replaced by a sense of cautious optimism. The regulars still gathered, swapping stories and seeking comfort in the familiar, but an undercurrent of unease lingered, a reminder that the trust that had once been the foundation of their community would need to be rebuilt brick by painstaking brick. For Sam, the weight of the ordeal still lingered, a burden he carried with every step. The revelation of Mr. Clarkson's true nature, the depth of the corruption that had festered beneath the surface of his beloved hometown, these were not wounds that would heal overnight. But as he sipped his coffee, lost in thought, a familiar figure slid into the booth across from him. Sarah, her hazel eyes filled with understanding and a newfound sense of purpose, reached out and placed a hand on his arm. "Hey," she said softly, her voice a soothing balm to his troubled mind. "How are you holding up?" Sam managed a small smile, the first genuine one in days. "I'm getting there," he replied, his gaze meeting hers. It's a lot to process, you know. But seeing the town come together, seeing people start to heal, it gives me hope." Sarah nodded, her own expression a mix of determination and compassion. "We'll get through this, Sam, together, and we'll make sure nothing like this ever happens again." As they sat together, their words flowing with a newfound ease born of their shared experience, Sam felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. The road ahead would be long and uncertain, but with Sarah by his side and the support of his friends and family, he knew that they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the end, the mystery of Miller's Creek had been more than just a case to be solved. It had been a crucible, a test of the town's resilience and its ability to confront the darkness within. And as Sam looked out at the faces of his fellow townspeople, forever changed but still standing tall, he knew that they had emerged from the shadows stronger than ever before. For now, he understood the true nature of his calling. It wasn't just about solving puzzles or uncovering secrets. It was about fighting for the truth, no matter how painful or difficult it might be. It was about standing up for what was right, even in the face of overwhelming odds. And it was about helping others to find the strength within themselves to do the same. As he and Sarah rose from the booth, ready to face the day ahead, Sam felt a sense of purpose settle over him like a mantle. With a newfound determination and a steadfast commitment to justice, he stepped out into the sunlit street, hand in hand with Sarah, ready to embrace the next chapter of their lives. The shadows of Miller's Creek might never truly fade, but with the light of truth to guide them and the bond of their partnership to strengthen them, Sam and Sarah would be ready to face whatever mysteries lay ahead. For in the end, that was what it meant to be true detectives, to stand united in the face of darkness, and to never stop fighting for the soul of their beloved town. The end.
And there you have it, dear listener. Another enchanting journey brought to life by the magic of storytelling. We hope that this tale has sparked your imagination and left you with a sense of wonder. As we close this chapter, remember that there's always another story waiting to be discovered. So keep your sense of curiosity alive and join us again for the next episode of Dream Bites. Until then, may your own adventures be filled with the same excitement and delight as the ones we've shared here. And always remember, the power of imagination knows no bounds. Thank you for being a part of the Dream Bites story. See you next time.
Close your eyes.